How long were you doing the program before you had your breakthrough?
When I actually started running ads, it was probably about a month. Yeah, a month.
Oh, wow. I think the last time I looked, you were up to like $4,700 in a single day or something. Have you happened to beat that yet by chance?
Yeah, so my highest day is then 7,660 in US in sales. So
Wow, that's awesome, dude.
yeah, it's pretty surreal. Like I was just watching your other student interview, and now I'm here with you. So it's incredible. I remember the first day the first day I tipped over into actually getting profits. I was running around my house, telling everyone I was literally running around my house, jumping around. And now I'm pretty sure I'm going to be quitting university to just pursue this. So it's opened up so many doors, and I'm so grateful for it as well.
Awesome, man. Hey, Chris, how's it going, man? Chris Reader,
Good,
finally.
good.
Been talking to you on Facebook, getting your messages. You were sending over a couple screenshots of how you were making. I think the last time I looked, you were up to like $4,700 in a single day or something. Have you happened to beat that yet by chance?
Yeah, so my highest day is then 7,660 in US in sales. So
Wow, that's awesome, dude. That's amazing, man. That's like a major accomplishment. I mean, I'm looking at you and you kind of, how old are you, if you don't mind?
I'm 20. Yeah,
20. Holy crow, wow. That's amazing, man. I was not making $7,000 a day at 20. I think I didn't hit that until probably my 30s. So you're like well ahead of me, man. You'll be leaving me in the dust someday soon. Those are, by the way, $7,000 a day. That you are straight up super affiliate material right there. I mean, you are a super affiliate. If I see down the line like vendors chasing you down, that's what happens when you get to this. So, when did you hit that number? How recently?
The $7,000 day was last Saturday, so that was on the 17th of November.
Awesome. So it's just a few days. So you have not yet. Okay, let me ask you this. At 20, I can already guess the answer, but have you ever had any success to this level before?
No, I've made more money than I've ever made in my life already.
Just doing this, huh? Okay, that's what I figure. If you're 20, you probably haven't had too many like breakout successes, breakthroughs. So you got to be just floored, man. You got to be like just mind blown right now, I'm guessing. I tell you, today I got on Facebook and I sat down with our students and asked them if they could sit in on this call with me today. And they could ask one question. What would that question be? So are you cool if we kind of format it like that? I'll go through and just ask you a bunch of questions from the students. I normally do it a little differently, but I think it's a pretty interesting format to test out. What do you think?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. But first, before we get started, I'd love to hear a little bit about I know you're 20 years old. I know your name. Where are you from?
I'm from just below Sydney, Australia.
Awesome. That's where you're at right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've had all the success while over you're not too far away from me here in Bali, actually. I fly through Australia quite often. Okay, so what's your background? I mean, like, have you done much online before? Have you tried any other programs, and have you had any success at anything else?
I did some Shopify dropshipping just with basic free knowledge, and I made like $2,000 profit with that, but it slowly died off, and I haven't done anything like that since.
Gotcha. And is that pretty much what you've tried before? Have you done anything else online, or is that pretty much it?
No, yeah, that's it.
Okay. When did you start doing that? How long ago? The dropshipping stuff?
I think that was a year ago. I only did it for around 6 months, so yeah.
Okay. So you pretty much new to online marketing, other than a couple little other things that you try Shopify, basically. Okay, and what's your background? Are you are you in university, college, or are you just you have a job, or what's your background there?
Yeah, so I just finished my second year of university studying marketing and management.
Oh, that's cool.
And on the part-time, I just work at a cafe. Yeah.
Okay. So in your 1 year of college studying marketing, do you feel like it has benefited you in any way whatsoever towards what you're doing right now, making $7,000 a day?
Well, like there's some stuff in there, but nowhere near as much practical and actionable information at all. It's all just like textbook fluff that doesn't really be used.
Well, what I think is interesting, man, is just on a side note is I would be curious and to wonder like how many people who graduate from college after they're all in debt, studying marketing, how long does it take the average person to get to the point where they're making over $7,000 a day with a degree in marketing? You know what I'm saying? I'm sure it's not many people that even make it to that, and you're like a sophomore in college. So you're building out a great story here, man. I mean, like the first chapter of your book is looking pretty good. Hopefully it just goes up from here. Okay, so you're in college, 20 years old, sophomore in college. You got very minimal experience online, and you've basically just hit a home run out of the gate. I think you're actually my youngest success story that I've ever had. That's pretty awesome, dude. There was one girl, Gigi, maybe you've seen her story. She was 22, I think, something like that, but she had mentoring. All right, man, let's go ahead and kick this off. I'm going to start off with some mindset questions, some general mindset questions, and I'm surprised how many students really are, I mean, they realize that they're struggling. There's like a couple different categories of people. There's people that are struggling from technical questions, and then there's people that are struggling from just overcoming their mindset. So we'll dig into mindset stuff first, okay? So here we go. Tim asks, what is your why? What is it that you're waking up in the morning and you're doing this and you're working so hard? You're in college. You could just do like everybody else. You could just go to class, go out drinking, skip class if you want to, sleep in all day, eat burritos and chips, and just kind of chill out. You're in that first 4 years where you can kind of be lazy and just get by if you want to, but instead you're going to university. You're in your second year and you're already diving deep in. You've tried two major business models online. One of them you've made a couple grand, which is more than most college students would ever make in 4 years, except for working at a sandwich shop or something. But now you've dived into something totally new. You've put money into that because this is not a free program, so you've invested money in yourself. It's like you're so far ahead of most people at your age. So what is that fuel or that thing that just fuels you to go forward, that pushes you and just makes you what you are right now? I mean, what is the reason you're doing this?
So the main reason is for my parents. Like my first goal is I want to pay off my parents' mortgage, and my mum works at a coffee shop 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. like every day. She's done so for 3 years, and my dad's been sick for a couple of years. So that's definitely, I just want to set them up and pay off the mortgage.
That's awesome, man. And I have a feeling that you can do that. The direction that you're heading. I did that too, for mom. I bought my mom a house, before she passed away and everything. You get a lot of joy out of it, man. Just it's not about ego or anything like that. It's just about taking care of the people that you love. So that's an amazing why, man. I appreciate that so much. Let's move on to Christy and Jason both asked the same question. Now, what was your tipping point that resulted in your breakthrough? Was there a single moment where it just something clicked?
Yeah, so I was running a couple ads, and then I was like, this definitely works. Like, this 100% works. So I remember I got off my computer for the day, and then I had this thought. I was like, this definitely works. I need to be putting more effort into it. So I went back and then did, I did 2, so I changed it to, I ran 5 to 6 ads. And then from there, I got data I needed to, work out, analyze, and make it happen.
So let me ask you this then. You had this realization that this actually works. What gave you that realization? Did you make some sales, or it just clicked in your mind?
Yeah. Well, all the other student success stories before me, I saw victors, and when I watched that, I had no sales. So
gotcha.
Then I remember sending you my first image. It was like the first image of my sales. I made $11.
Yeah.
And then 2 days after that, I made 50, and it was pretty slow, but the sales were definitely coming in, so I knew it worked.
Awesome. That's great. And And I tell people the way that I put it is that, inspiration is fuel for change. It's one of the greatest fuels for change, I think. So that's why we create this. And that's why, I appreciate somebody like you having the success and then getting on with us and then sharing that inspiration, because it's like you're paying it forward and you're also just creating fuel, endless fuel for other people who can just watch this and be inspired just like you were. It's awesome. So really it was just a matter of just realizing that it was possible and knowing, or just having this deep belief that, man, this is possible. I should get on it. I should stop messing around and start really implementing and taking massive action.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a little bit, this is my own question, right? So I'll throw one in here. But have you been like an early an adapter to like my mantra, if you will, or my take massive action, stay focused, and don't give up? Has that played a role at all in your mindset success?
Yeah, 100%. So I remember I wasn't patient, and I tried to post ads in the first week. So that got me into a little bit of trouble. So I had my ad account shut down. And then I remember I just had that in my head for ages. So I didn't do anything for 3 weeks, but I knew that mantra was still, I actually had it as my wallpaper on my phone.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Awesome.
So I knew that that it was going to work, and it's definitely about knowing that it will work if you keep trying, giving it all at it.
Awesome, man. And that's a little tip for everybody out there. Take that in mind. Don't let that just breeze in one ear and out the other. Chris actually put that little wallpaper that we hand out inside of the members area or something like it onto his phone as a screensaver, as a reminder. It's kind of like, my first mentor was John Assaraf. He was one of the people inside of The Secret in that movie that came out back in late 2000s, and he really preached this idea of having a vision board. If you've ever heard of a vision board, it's basically taking like a cork board or something, putting it up on your wall and finding all these things that you want, whether it's a fancy car, a fancy house, or the girlfriend, or the thinner the waist, the muscles, some photos or imagery that inspires you. Paste it up on your board and then look at it every day and feel those emotions, and it drives change. And it's not just about law of attraction. It's also about just training, reprogramming your mind to believe that this is possible and to get a feeling for it. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so I should ask you too, like, how long were you doing the program before you had your breakthrough?
Well, like I said, I was stumped pretty early. So then when I actually started running ads, it was probably about a month. Yeah, a month.
Oh, wow. That's a really ideal turnaround. So, a lot of people, even think like Bonnie, it maybe took her 3 or 4 months. I think other mentors, Victoria, I believe it may have even taken her 4 or 5 plus months. So that's great. Pretty quick. All right. So can you describe the emotional, mental shift that happened when you realized that, this is actually happening to me? So you must have had that moment where you woke up like, holy shit, like I'm like making a lot of money here. This is awesome. You hit that 4,700, then you hit 5,000, then you eventually hit 7,000. At some point you have to realize like, whoa, like this is is this real, or this is reality, this is happening. So is there some kind of emotional or mental shift that happens inside of your mind when you wake up and realize that my life is going to be significantly different going forward?
Yeah, well, it's happened so fast that it's been like pretty exponential. So now I just have like basically all the free time I need to like focus, keep developing myself, and keep this ball rolling.
Well, that's awesome, but I want to know how you feel about it. Like, it's got to feel like a surreal, like a dream, right? Have you thought about like how is this gonna change my life? You got your mom and your dad there that you're on track to make significant impact on your own life, your future children's life. Your mom and your dad probably, if you have like cousins and nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters, they're all going to look up to you and want to emulate your success, or just you'll be inspiring thousands of people through this interview. I mean, it's a big deal, man. I mean, like, you got to have some kind of emotional response to this and be feeling like, what's going on here? You know, like, tap into that feeling for me.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal. Like, I was just watching your other student interview, and now I'm here with you, so it's incredible. I remember the first day I tipped over into actually getting profits. I was running around my house, telling everyone. I was literally running around my house, jumping around. Awesome. And now it's like I wake up every day, and I don't really even need to check it. Like, I can say, I made this much money, but knowing that it's there, it's pretty incredible. And now I'm pretty sure I'm going to be quitting university to just pursue this. So it's opened up so many doors, and I'm so grateful for it as well.
Awesome, man. I'm loving your story here. All right, so you have this. If you have sort of like a new belief or a new confidence, it's like this is happening. You're even willing to, drop out of university and just take a different path now. It's like open up doors for you. So, I know this is really new for you, but has it manifested into other areas of your life other than just this, that confidence and?
Well, now that I have so much free time, I can wake up and my daily routine can be exactly what I want it to be. So I'm not stressed out about getting to work on time or, having to work a certain amount of days a week. So I can just really focus on having a good routine and, enjoying life, basically.
Yeah, you have that little taste of freedom. And it's like, I tell people, ultimate freedom is not, it's more like a doorway, that gets opened, and like having this money or this financial freedom is like the key that opens that door. And what's beyond that door is all the things in life that you can achieve if you have financial freedom. And so you've just swung that door open, and you've peeked your head inside, and you're looking around, and you probably don't even have a clue. Yeah, you don't have to worry about work. You can quit college. You can see down the road a ways. But I get excited about this moment, this transition, this bridge that the few fortunate people really get to experience, and just being a part of your story and watching that unfold for you is just something that drives me. Gives me a lot of joy. So all right, next question. All right, from Christy here. What was your tipping point? She says, hold on, I think we might have covered that moment that shifted you. Okay, we got that one already. Jim says, my question is, once you made your breakout success, did you still have you experienced any issues actually, I think a better way to ask this is, have you had any friends or family members who are aware of what you're doing, and then they've kind of doubted you? Or do you have a completely supportive friends and family network?
Yeah, they've been pretty supportive, I guess, because I'm young, I have so many opportunities, and now that I'm taking them up, and now that I'm not actually I'm actually making it work as well. So I haven't told many of my friends, but the ones I have been really supportive.
Cool.
But yeah, of course, there's some people who try and cast negative doubt, because they're not sure themselves if I'm actually doing it. But yeah, it's been pretty supportive for the most part.
Do you feel like those people are just, they love you, they care about you, and they want to support you? Or do you feel like that they're just kind of, they just want to kind of hold you down because they don't believe that they can do something, so they don't want you to try to do something for yourself?
Yeah, I think it's just a way for them to rationalize the situation. Yeah.
They're justifying their own personal story through you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think the reason that Jim's asking that question is because a lot of people do deal with negativity. A lot of people deal with family and friends who just hold them down, and every day is a struggle because somebody is harping on them, telling them that you can't. This is stupid. What are you doing? Wasting all that money. You have other responsibilities. You're being irresponsible. I've had students come to me on Facebook many times and tell me these really heartbreaking stories about family who just holding them back. So if you have a good support system, that's an important thing. And I'll just say to other students out there, if you're in an environment and that environment is depressing you or holding you back and making you feel like people are telling you that you can't do it, or you're an idiot for even believing that it's possible, you just have to work a little bit harder. You have to try to separate yourself. I've went through a whole long period in my life where I just washed my life, my network from toxic people, and just as much as possible. What's hard is like when it's your family members, so luckily that's not a case for you. But okay, Scott says, how do I acquire the discipline to keep going? I'm just stuck and I keep overthinking everything. Do you have any advice?
Well, everything that I'm doing, and I feel like everything you need is given by you in the course. You and Rob explain it really well. And like, it's mainly about the mindset stuff. So once you know it works, and once you can implement all the knowledge you guys give, it's just about sticking at it. Like, as you said, I went up pretty fast, but like you said, 4 or 5 months, they also made it happen. So it's just about sticking with it.
Good. And plus, I don't know if you should listen to Chris, because he had a breakout success in 1 month. So it's not like he had to go through 10 years, struggles. But no, I think that's great advice, man. But okay, but I do agree, Scott, you do have to develop your discipline, and it's just, again, it's mindset. I would suggest reading books, listening to inspirational people, through YouTube. You got to find that fuel that's going to inspire you to keep going. And I think that, Chris's story, Vitor's story, and all of the past, mentors and other student success stories are the fuel that you need to just keep going. So just revisit this video over and over, revisit other videos over and over, and you'll get inspired, and you'll be reminded constantly that anything's possible. So have you had any big struggles so far? And if you did, how did you get past those?
Well, yeah, the first struggle was definitely, not being patient and just trying to jump into it before I was ready. So after getting the out-of-count banned, it was pretty devastating. And then, but I knew like central fail point. So once I got over that, once I got over my doubt, I just started get the ball rolling again.
Yeah, I mean, the out-of-count closures can be pretty devastating. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So you got through that. Did you take a little break, you said, after your out-of-count got shut down? Did you immediately dive in and set up another account, or did you kind of take a little break and be like, this isn't going to work? How long was that break? Yeah,
well, it was like around 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks. And I was kind of like, well, this isn't going to work. But I also knew that if I just let myself, have a little break, that I can get back into it with a fresh mind. So
yeah, that's fair. I try to tell people, like, just keep going. Just wake up the next day and treat it like this is just part of the process, and you got to accept it, or you're never going to make it. But sometimes, there's emotional setbacks. It's like you can step out and take a small break. It's just as long as you don't just give up.
And you know that you're going to come back into it as well.
Yeah, if you know that you're coming back, and it's just like a mindset, like, okay, I'm going to set it out for a minute, but I'm definitely coming back. The problem is if you set out too long. It's like if you're in university and you set out a semester, that's one thing. If you set out a year, it's like 10 times more likely that you're never coming back. It's just okay. So, all right. Did you feel like giving up? Is there any point there, like when your ad account got shut down, where you had a moment where you're like, I don't know, maybe I'll hang this up. This isn't going to work. This sucks.
Yeah, definitely when the ad account, and I took that little break. But, I just kept watching your videos, and I just knew that, like, if I believed in it and, like, made it happen, and I tried my hardest, that it will work. So, like, I just had, like, complete faith, basically.
Yeah, faith is important. Belief is important. Emmanuel, if you had to start all over, what would you do differently?
I would, tell myself that this does work, and that if some people might be like, oh, this might not work, so they won't put in, all the effort or, take it as serious. But I would tell myself that it 100% works, and if you put in the effort and you test and you run ads and you actually take action, that eventually you'll start seeing results, which will give you, once I had my first couple of sales, it was like a feedback loop. So I understood that it worked, and it gave me more motivation that, if I'm getting a couple sales, I can, multiply that. I can get even more sales. So, yeah.
So it sounds like you're saying basically you just be more dedicated from the very get-go and not let these little things, distract you as much. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's also really huge, like, about the mindset as well. I feel like this is really, like, your mindset's really important for this.
Yeah, this is a mindset game for sure. It's more like you're in battle against yourself. It's not Facebook. They're not the enemy. If anybody is, it's just your own doubts and your own self-limiting beliefs. Okay. I think a lot of people. Derek says the same thing. I probably didn't monitor these questions quite closely enough, but he says, could you talk about that moment when the light bulb went off for you and everything began to come together? But I think you already talked about that too. And
just testing, just making and there was some times where I thought an ad would go well, but then I had to re-look at it and I realized that there was some stuff wrong in it. And it's mainly, whenever something happens like this failures, it's not external apart from you. So you're the one that's running the ad. So if you can realize what you've done wrong, you can just, change it and fix it. So, yeah.
That's a good way to look at things, and I talk a little bit about this as well, is just taking responsibility for your personal situation instead of looking outward to try to put blame on somebody else. I look at that as making an excuse to fail, and it's also locking you into failure. But if you take full responsibility of exactly where you are in the world, suddenly you take the reins and you have some control, So that's pretty wise thinking, especially for your age. I'm going to paraphrase Brad's question here. How do you keep the train moving when you get a few sales and then it stops, and then you get a few sales and it stops? Have you figured out anything where you can just plow through it and I think a lot of people, what happens is they'll get a sale, maybe they'll get 3, 4, 5 sales, and then they wake up the next day and nothing, and the next day nothing, the next day nothing. Have you dealt with that situation at all?
Yeah, my advice would just be go back to the drawing board or reanalyze what you've done, because it might be getting you a couple sales, but if it's not making profit, then you can definitely improve on it.
Yeah.
So I had times where I was running ads and I was getting good click-through rates, but only one sale every 3 days. So instead of getting attached to it, I just realized that I need to just keep on trying new stuff, keep on testing.
Good. And did you create new iterations of the same ad, or did you just scrap it and move on to something else?
Yeah, I did both. So I tested multiple variations on multiple images. So one ad, 4 different variations, then another ad. And I also tried completely different concepts and different angles as well. Okay,
good. All right, from Letitia, what is the secret of not getting frustrated and not giving up?
If you're getting frustrated, maybe try, mindset stuff. So you need to maybe take a step back, or maybe not go at it as intensely, and just, if you rewatch the course, they give you a lot of good, mindset tips and a lot of stuff you can implement as well. So
good.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul says, are you doing anything differently to what was taught inside of the Profit Engine course, or are you just strictly following the guidelines that we gave you?
Yeah, 100%. The blueprint works very well. It's basically a blueprint. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then he says, if you're not doing anything different, then in your opinion, what do you think might be the difference between someone who is getting results and then the other people in the other group who are failing at it? Any idea what that might be? Any insights?
When I was when I was at negative, so I was losing money, I was still testing. I was making some money, but I was always chasing the break-even point. And then at that point, I realized that if I believe this works, it's just about finding the one that gives me what I want. So if I just test, I tested a lot. I tested probably over 30 things. So nice. As soon as you find, you got to test to find the one, and then once you find the one, it will all come together. Yeah. But between what like from me and somebody else, I think you just need to start going through some more ad copy, maybe new images, maybe rethink about how you're actually coming at it, and so.
That's good advice, man. And for the audience out there, I just want to touch on something here, okay? I want you to notice one thing about Chris here that he seems to talk about a lot and is trending here, is he talks about taking massive action. And by the way, if you had all your big breakthrough within a month and you already ran 30 different ads, I think it took Bonnie roughly. Think about this, guys. I want you to really stop and perk up here and focus for a second. Think about this. Bonnie, it took her like 4 or 5 months to have her breakthrough, and she said when she hit her breakthrough point, she had run 19 ads. Victoria, if you remember her interview not too long ago, she had done $270,000 in 1 month, I believe it was, and she's been a mentor with the Mentor Me program and Rise Academy for a couple years now. But she said, she outdid Bonnie. She had done over 20 ads, but it took 4 and 5 months. So think about this for a second. When I talk about massive action, there is a direct correlation between this gentleman that you're looking at here on the screen right now and just what I mean by taking massive action. Because think about it. Bonnie, it took her 4 or 5 months and she did 19 ads. Victoria she did over 20 ads. It took her several months, and Chris has done over 30 ads in 1 month. So just think about that. There's a direct correlation between success and taking massive action, and the fact that Chris keeps coming back to this, I'm taking massive action, trying all these different variations. That means something. So latch onto that. Realize I'm not just spewing, this mantra because it sounds good or looks good on paper. It's real, it's real. Every single successful student that I have ever coached to success has mastered all 3 of these things, So, and again, to touch on the next one where you've kept your focus. When you said that you were going to step back, you still knew where you were going. You still had that focus. You knew that you were going to come back. And you just never gave up. A lot of people give up when they lose their first ad account, but you didn't. So you definitely have all of these ingredients, for success. So I'm not surprised you did it. And your massive action is quite a bit above and beyond what most people do. So learn from that, guys. I mean, really, take massive action. It's significant because it's just a numbers game, right? You do more iterations, and your success timeline is just pulled forward.
You just got to find the one that works. The more you test, the quicker it's going to be.
Exactly. They say fail fast. The faster you fail, the quicker you get to that success.
And another thing is, when I was running all these ads, I didn't just put them up and, they weren't getting sales, turn them off. I looked at the ones that were going better than the others, and, I, sculpted it into, I looked at all the analytics, and I found out which aspects of each one worked the best, and I actually put them together to, create the winner, to create the ones that work.
So, you're using some strategy. You're using your brain. You're being creative. You're not being lazy. You're not relying on somebody else to give you all the answers. You're using your analytical mind a little bit, and you're getting in there and just saying, what's working, what's not working, how do I focus that in further and further until I get that one perfect ad, right? All right, now we're going to take a little shift, minor little shift. The next questions here we got, again, you probably can't see this, but I got a bunch of questions from people on Facebook today. These are general, non-technical questions. We'll hold off on some of the technical questions till the end. Chuck says, how long have you been in internet marketing, and what tactics have you used or been successful with before? We've already covered this. You did a little drop shipping, had a little bit of success, but it all kind of petered out, and you moved on to this, had your big success here. Richard says, what percentage of your business is from Facebook paid ads? We know that it's 100%. And also a job in a sandwich shop or something, right?
Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay, do you have a daily protocol, some certain routine, or even a set of priorities or something like that you practice daily that you feel may be partly responsible for your success?
Yeah, so in the mornings, I would track all my ads. Like even if I had 30 different variations, they all had separate tracking, and I tracked every single one of them in the morning and then at night, so I could see where my money was going and what was losing money, so I could cut it off.
Okay. Do you have any, just to kind of circle back here a little bit, but are you at that point in your life where you have any sort of daily routine for mindset development as well? Any kind of meditation or just thought processes or just anything like that at all? I mean, you don't have to. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm really into I feel like the mindset 100%, because you need to be able to change your perception, so how you see the world and how you can, influence your actions and get the outcomes you want. So I'm into meditation.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, I read a lot of self-development books and all that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Good. Okay, that's about what I would expect. Okay. I guess Gail asks, were you in the Mentor Me program or just Profit Engine?
Just Profit Engine, yeah.
Okay. And okay, so that answers that question. See, I think a lot of people have doubts. I mean, their students, they don't believe that if they're in the program and they're doing everything that they were told, then why would you be having success right now? And they're not. And so they're like, there's got to be something that we're missing. He went through the Mentor Me program, like Vitor did, or like, you know what I'm saying? And people will be doubting, like, how did you go through it in a 1 month? Do you really have all the same information in front of you that I have? Because otherwise it just doesn't make sense. And so I think that you as an example gives a lot of credence to that fact that the program does work, and if you're not having success out there, somebody who's watching this, if you're not having success, don't beat yourself up. You're not stupid, you're not lazy or anything like that necessarily. It's not some big deficit in you as a person that's responsible for it. It's just probably like 1 or 2 or 3 little things. That's the great thing about the mentor program, by the way. You could come in and become a mentor if you wanted to, by the way. I would anytime somebody hits that $1,000 a day mark, like if you want a job, but that's not really a job, where you just get a bunch of money, you get paid for it, and you get to be part of our inner circle and work right directly with the other mentors and stuff. I always welcome anybody into the program because you know what it takes to succeed, so you can pay that forward. And then on the nice side of that is you also get to rub shoulders with me, Rob, Bonnie, Nick, Sean, all the other mentors, and get to travel around the world with us. We're all going to Las Vegas, to speak on stage and stuff. So there's an opportunity for you. I'll throw that out there to you, but we can talk about it later. Anyway, so let me just move on. How much out-of-pocket investment did you start with when you first got started in the program? And then I'll say, and did you end up having to go dip into more money and spend more money later on? But what's the total out-of-pocket expenses so far?
So far all up, how much I've spent on ads?
No, but just out-of-pocket. So there comes a point when you're just reinvesting. I'm talking about from your own personal stash, your life savings or whatever. How much did you go out-of-pocket?
Well, I was always down like $300, chasing $300 negative. And then I think I spent around 2,000 Australian dollars till I actually hit the breakthrough.
So that's what, if you had quit on that day, the day before your breakthrough, you would have been out $2,000 in ad spend at that point. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. And then took you a little while, and I bet you don't regret that little $2,000 investment now.
No.
Okay, so that's cool. Now Judy says, how many campaigns are you running at one time in order to earn this kind of money?
So right now I've got probably over 50 ads, but they're not all different. They're all like, just to scale it up, you have to like duplicate ads. But maybe out of those, there's probably 4 different like major differences between them. So probably 4.
So let me ask you this: so today, on any average day, are you literally running 50 ads at that time, or you've set up 50 ads and now you're just running a few of those today?
Yeah, well, I don't know if this is the best way to do it, but I've actually got like 50 ad sets up. So
Okay, so they're all pulling traffic. You got to have them on a low level, and you're monitoring to see which ones are converting, and then eventually you'll shut off the ones that are not converting, and then you'll replace them. So that's pretty dramatic. And once you get to the point where you're making enough money, you can scale to that point where even if you're spending $5 a day, $10 a day, $20 a day, or something like that on each of those ads, it still adds up. You'd be spending. You'd be spending $1,000 a day just running $20 on 50 ads, but maybe that one ad that's really crushing it, or one or two different ads, you're spending a lot more on those ads. Is that how it is for you, or do you just earning profit across more ads, like 10 or 15 different ads that are adding up to your $5,000 a day? So is it all coming from one ad, or is it coming from coming from multiple?
Yeah, it's coming from majority of them, but there are definitely some that stand out that mean majority of the profit. But if they're making ROI, I don't see why I shut them off. So
sure, yeah. Okay, so if you had to say, like, across those 50 ads, how many of them are basically losing you money? How much of them are kind of like breaking even? How many of them are just making a tiny little profit where it's really not significant? And then how many of them make up the lion's share of your day, your earnings?
Well, like I said, majority of them are actually just the same, but just heaps of them. And so once I build them all up, so I always test a lot. If they're not giving me any money, I always shut them off straight away. So all of mine are giving me money right now.
So all of those 50 ads are making you profit.
Yeah.
Something positive ROI.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like, and just correct me if I'm wrong, that you're say a $5,000 a day across 50 different ads. Maybe you have a handful of them that are not working, but you might be making $100 per ad, maybe, and then you're scaling horizontally rather than vertically. Okay, that's good. That's a good. A very interesting point that I think a lot of people are gonna have like this aha moment right now, where like, okay, so that kind of opens up a door from from what they've thought of in the past, where you can just take one ad and make $20,000 a day off of one ad, but you can also scale vertically. And if you just duplicate your ads, so do you have any ads that are exactly the same? They're just straight up photocopy, or do you have? But you really only have like 4 different variations of ads, and then you're just duplicating them, sort of like when I talk about doing the tap the vein method, more or less.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So every time I scale up, I just duplicate, so that way I have more opportunity to tap the vein, because some of them will be the exact same ad, but they won't be getting, they'll be negative, like quite a lot, even though it's the exact same ad that's already a winner. So
great, that's interesting, and we can talk about that maybe more later. It's going into a little bit technical, but I think that's, for some people, that will be a big aha moment and pretty smart thinking. Okay. All right, next question from Diego and Paul. I'd like to know if you were a newbie when you to ads, or if you're already pretty experienced running ads. We know. Have you ever run ads before this program? Never.
Even when I did Shopify, I never did Facebook. So.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Cool. Okay. Okay, so Evie, again, you'll notice this trend where people are doubting, like there's got to be something else outside of Profit Engine. Are you doing 100% pure Profit Engine system, or are you combining your own systems into it to get these amazing results? Maybe but we already know the answer to that. Okay. Just following the system, guys. And again, it's also developing your mindset to believe in it, and practicing those massive action focus, and and not giving up. Again, take special note here of Chris's ability to take really massive action, and I see a little bit of creativity as well. Creativity I've found to be one of my biggest assets, but I don't like to think that it requires a lot of creativity in order to be successful. I think that you can emulate a system and be successful like you have done, but at the same time I see these little sparks of ingenuity coming from you, like where, I never told you to scale horizontally, but you kind of took it upon yourself. You probably tested out the tap the vein method, and you tested it out on these 4 different ads, and you were like, fuck it, I'll just keep them all running. So there's a little bit of ingenuity there, and I like that. So take note on that, guys. I mean, systems are meant to be evolved, and there's a lot of different things you can do, but if you just use your brain a little bit, you can tap into these things yourself, okay? Joel says, how many hours a day, how many days a week on average did you work to get to these kinds of earnings and profits?
Yeah, so when I first started, I was, I was probably doing it maybe like 2 hours, 3 hours a day, and that was just on, thinking of new headlines. I had like a Word document and a piece of paper. I was always writing different headlines, different ones to test, different image ideas, researching, like you go on Google, just searching up random stuff to try and find something that has all those aspects of a good image in it. And then once I started testing, once I had all the ads that I wanted to run, so I had a huge list of different headlines and ads, then it was probably just like maybe an hour and 30 a day, just, making sure my ads are up and actually tracking them like religiously. I tracked every single ad, every single day, twice a day.
Okay, cool. So it's not like a big overhead of your time or anything. I mean, you're still able to do everything else in your life that you want, but you're being smart with your time, and you're actually taking action and implementing and building a little method, right? I work the same way, by the way. I like to create headlines and image ideas and go into it that way. So, I mean, it's a very logical way to do it. You get your little bit of this certain part out of the way, and then you move on to step 2, implementing, and step 3, it might be like creating variations or scaling and stuff. Okay, all right. So Joel, the second question, Joel. This is Joel, the gentleman who was on our one of our calls where he actually got a kidney transplant.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember.
And he's really doing well, by the way. Just talked to him today, I think. And he's getting into our mentor program now, and I hope that he could have some success too. He's an interesting guy, really nice guy. Steve says, how many iterations of your ads does it usually take before it starts blowing up?
Well, by iterations, I guess you mean variations. And some, I'll test, because each image I try and test a different concept, because sometimes it's like the concept of the angle or whatever. So sometimes I'll test multiple variations, but at some point you got to realize like they're all going lower than the other ones you're testing, so you've just got to cut it. And
so say you're testing 3 or 4 different ads, and all of the variations of this ad are outperforming all of the variations of this ad. So you're like, I might as well abandon that one and just add a new one and just let this top performing one stay, and always kind of cut it out. Like an analogy that resonates with me is like I have motorcycles, and my plan always with I have a motorcycle company, like a garage and stuff. I'm always building these awesome custom motorcycles here, and it's always like the most. It's like my favorite motorcycle one time might be this bike, right? And then months later or a year later, I have 8 or 10 bikes. And that one's now my least favorite. I can get rid of that one, and just replace it with something else. I don't want to have 50 bikes in my garage, but it's always about throwing away what doesn't work and replacing it with something that does. So I kind of have a feeling that a lot of people that are watching this might start to emulate your horizontal, way of doing things, and it might resonate with some of our audience. This is kind of a abstract question from Jose. He says, what is the question that we should be asking, but we're not?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like there's a quote, like, don't wish it was better, wish it was easier, wish you were better. Have you heard that quote before?
Yeah, no, I haven't, but that's great.
Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. So, rewatch the course and try and develop yourself more and come at it again. That's probably the best part.
That's good advice. Okay, this is question number 2 from Jose, and I have a feeling this one's going to be hard too. And this is the final question before we take the rest of this thing private. I'll talk about that in a second. But Jose says, what was that thing that you wish you knew before taking on the course, or that thing that you discovered that had you succeed to the position that you are? I don't know if that you need to answer that, but if it comes to you, it's a really strange question.
Well, before the course, I don't know, like buying the course is probably the best thing that's happened to me.
That's awesome. Sure. Okay. So great. Now, okay, everybody, new format here. For those of you who are joining us that are not yet inside of our program, we're going to go ahead and cut it right here for you. And if you want to learn more, if you want to know more, if you want to learn like the true technical tips and tricks, this is for members only. We're not going to reveal this and yeah. So if you want to learn more, you got to get inside of the Profit Engine program, get inside, and we have about another 15 questions here that is stuff that really Chris has been generous enough to kind of open up and answer these kinds of questions. So we'll see you on the inside, okay? And thanks for joining us.